कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। ॐ नमो
हम्म।
भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। शृण्वता स्वकतः कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्तो य भद्राणि विधनोति सुहृत्सता। Hare Krishna. We are reading from Canto 3. Just a minute. We are reading from Canto 3, chapter 26, verse 50. Canto 3, named Status Quo, chapter 26, that's Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. And we are at verse 50. The verse एतानि असम्मत्य यदा महद् आदीनि सप्तवै कालकर्मगुणोपेतो जगद् आदिरुपाविशत्. Once again the verse एतानि असंहत्य यदा महद् आदीनि सप्तवै कालकर्मगुणोपेतो जगद् आदिरुपाविशत्. Synonyms: etani, these, asam hatya, being unmixed, yada, when, mahat adini, the mahat tattva, false ego, and five gross elements, sapta, altogether seven. Why? In fact, kala, time, karma, work, guna, and the three modes of material nature, upetaha, accompanied by, jagat adihi, the origin of creation, upavishat, entered. Translation: when all these elements were unmixed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of creation, along with time, work, and the qualities of the modes of material nature, entered into the universe with the total material energy in seven divisions. Purport: by His Divine Grace, Abhay Sharanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Purport: after starting the generation of the causes, Kapaladev speaks about the generation of the effects. At that time, when the causes were unmixed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his feature of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, entered within each universe. Accompanying him were all of the seven primary elements, the five material elements, the total energy, Mahatattva, and the false ego. This entrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead involves his entering even the atoms of the material world. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Andantarastha paramanuchayantarastam. He is not only within the universe, but within the atoms also. He is within the heart of every living entity. Garbhodakasai Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, entered into everything. We'll offer some prayers and have some discussion. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna dear devotees, once again good morning. um we are into that section again where we are discussing the fundamental principles of material nature as explained by Kapaladev to his mother Devahuti. So we have till yesterday, starting from the verse 9th, from this chapter, the chapter 26, starting from the verse 9 till about verse 49, Kapildev explained various characteristics of the Mahatvatva, like the Pradhana, Mahatattva, time, and other various elements, and how the like how different elements kind of represent various, like we have had multiple different devotees explain as like the sky aspect, the sound, the false ego, intelligence, and like we had an extensive discussion of almost 41 verses with respect to the Pradhana, Mahatattva. Also, Hari Parshad Prabhu was there during the discussion. It kind of helped us understand the overall understanding of the Sankhya philosophy in general. So, so that section is now complete, where Kapila explanation of the Pradhana, Mahatattva, everything is now complete. And as Srila Prabhupada is also explaining, as Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport, after stating the generation of the causes, now the entirety of the causes and all of that is Kapilideva explained. And starting from now, with the subsequent verses, there are multiple other sections that come in. Now Kapilideva will be speaking about the generation of the effects. So um, I couldn't spend a lot of time in preparation, but there were two aspects that I contemplated as I was preparing for this class, and those were the two aspects that I wanted to kind of discuss. The first aspect is the mercy or the compassion aspect of the Supreme Lord with respect to the creation. That's the first section that we will discuss and slightly touch upon. And then the second section is the doership mentality of from our side, from the material creation standpoint, and how do we kind of reconcile the doership mentality? Is it all the Supreme Personality of Godhead doing, or is there any scope for any other living entity? So we will kind of discuss, and if there is, how do we kind of reconcile what is our role, and how do we kind of discuss? So these are the two things that we will touch upon, and I think we will have enough time today for some discussion or some questions. So the first part, now as we kind of till the verse 49, it's kind of quite clear that the pradhana, the elements are all in place, and kind of correlating back to the Canto 3, Chapter 5, and when the similar discussion when Vidra like has Mother Devati here asked about the creation in chapter 5 at the beginning of this canto, we kind of went through the similar explanation of the creation process. And also in the second canto, Narada Muni also asks Lord Brahma about the creation. So kind of similar explanation kind of have happened in canto 2. Interestingly, Canto 2, Chapter 5 and Canto 3, Chapter 5 talk about the similar topics. And within Chapter 5, we understand. So I'll read some verses and then we'll discuss. So one of the verse that I wanted to discuss. just kind of go over was thereafter. This is from the Canto 3, chapter 5, verse 33. Thereafter, the personality of Godhead glanced over the sky, partly mixed with eternal time and external energy, and thus developed the touch sensation, from which the air in the sky was produced. So even during the entirety of the gross elements, all of that was happening during the generation of the causes, as Srila Prabhupada has put it. It's not it was not outside of the purview of Supreme Personality of God. It was still within. So everything that was happening. So when we state the Supreme Lord as the cause of all causes, which is one more name of Karana Udakashaya Vishnu, or as Lord Brahma as um, prayed in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the cause for all causes. So even before it came to the point of him entering, as this verse is explaining, him entering into the universe with the total material energy in 7 divisions, and as Srila Prabhupada and all our previous acharyas are explaining, even before this point of him expanding himself, the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, him expanding himself as this Paramatma in every atom across the universe, not just Karanodakashai, did not just expand himself as Garbhodakashai Vishnu and entered as the Paramatma of the universe. And that also happened because, as chapter 5 explains, the demigods were kind of praying intensely to the Lord, saying, yes, now all these elements and all these are available within this universe, but we kind of don't know what to like. There's nothing happening. So the impetus for the entire creation only happens when the Lord expands himself as this Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, which is a different, which is as our acharyas explain, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is the super soul of the entire universe. And he does not stop there, as Prabhupada explains, and also as Lord Brahma explains in the Brahma Samhita, Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. So he's expanding it. It's like he's so eager to kind of be there for every one of us. He's not only expanding himself into the living entities' bodies when we pray. He's always there, not only within us, but he's also there in every atom across universe. So that again um, kind of correlate back or kind of correlating back to the discussion in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, I'm like he explains himself the various different forms that we could perceive him, and this understanding of him being present in every atom is also of that there's nothing. So from that understanding, so there is nothing outside of the Lord, and the Lord is inside everything. So there is even on a factual, literal sense, there is nothing different than the Supreme Lord, because Supreme Lord is in every atom. So that also ties back to the recent discussion in one of the Bhagavatam classes that we had. I think it was when Amritakeli Mataji was presenting. We were discussing on how this entire creation, seemingly quite a complex array of subjects and quite intertwined. What is Mahatattva? Like I hear what is the definition of Mahatattva almost quite many a times. Like even Hariparshad Prabhu recently came and explained what is Mahatattva and all of that. But sometimes just because of the dull-headedness of myself, it kind of doesn't stick in. Uh, but even with that, the takeaway is that even within this entire complicated subject that is intertwined with so much of philosophical thought and technicalities and language and whatnot, but the primary understanding of it all is that's kind of driving is the love of uh, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, for all of us. He is yes, whatever, because he's magnanimous. Whatever he does is magnanimous. He cannot an amazing person cannot do something which is simple. So Krishna is so magnanimous and so amazing that the creation process is also is amazing. So but even in this amazing thing, but the driving force, like it, taking an example of a mother cooking an elaborate, like just taking this example. So I once heard, this was spoken by Gaurang Prabhu in one of his classes. He was saying that the reason why do we say Chappan Bhog, when we say as Chappan Bhog, it is in Hindi, Chappan Bhog means 56. So why is it that the elaborate cooking is not 64, the elaborate cooking is not 98, or what is the significance of 56? It is explained that when Krishna lifted, so usually Krishna used to have food 8 times a day. And when Krishna was lifting over the hill, because he was just standing there, and the regular cooking, all of that Mother Yashoda used to regularly do on a day-to-day basis, and then ensure that Krishna was eating sumptuous, elaborate preparations of food for 8 times a day for 7 days, it was not possible. So once the Govardhan Leela happened, and all of that was done, not eat for 8 times, which is his usual. So 7 to 8 is 56. And then the first thing that she went ahead and did was, let's make this Chapan Bhog, trying to cover. I mean, it's not that if I'm eating, if I fasted for, let's say, 10 days, if I'm eating for the 11th day, it's technically doesn't mean that I'm covering up for the, like, our body is not devised in such a way that it can kind of cover up. But just the love of Mother Yashoda was such that, and Krishna, it's not that Krishna was not eating anything when he was standing there, or Krishna, after at the end of the seventh day, this boy of 7-year-old was emaciated because he did not eat anything. Like Krishna's body is spiritual. There's nothing that kind of affects him, and it's not that he's being sustained just because of the food that he was eating. But just the love of Mother Yashoda was such that her whole thought was, oh, my Khana did not eat for the last 7 days, and how do I correct it? And she was not thinking, oh, Indra did this, or why, like, I was not able to prepare. Like, she was not blaming anything. She was not getting into that entire space of, oh, I need to, like, just because of Indra, my Khana did not. All she was thinking was that, how do I make sure that Krishna gets the food that I was not able to serve him? How do I make sure that I serve? And in this elaborate preparation, in this amazing preparation that kind of is continuing from then on, from millions of years, from millenniums of years, is this the central aspect of this entirety of these preparations, the Chapan Bhog that we always do, Chapan Bhog, and the broader preparations. The central theme is love of Mother Yashoda for Krishna. That was the thing that was driving the entirety of Chapan Bhog. And similarly for this, if we take anything else, uh, this creation of this entirety of amazing, complicated web of material creation, or anything related to that, um, anything that related to that happens, he's is driven by this central theme, this the singular aspect of the love of Krishna for us. And so that so that was the first thing that I wanted to kind of discuss, was just the act of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu entering as Paramatma is not because he wanted to control everything that was there, nor was it to kind of prove that he is the sole proprietor of anything. Nothing of that sort. The 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 only reason was, he was just that he is uncontrollable and unstoppable flow of love for his parts and parcels, for his entities, the living entities, and anything that is required for them to come back to him, that whatever is needed, is just doing that. And one of the reflections of that love of the Supreme Lord is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, entering into everything. So uh, that was the first thing that I wanted to discuss. And then the next thing was the doership mentality. Um, so for this, the primary correlation that I wanted to take up was in the second canto, chapter 5, when Narada Muni comes to Lord Brahma, and then Narada Muni starts with this. This is the first verse that Narada Muni starts. The chapter name is The Cause of All Causes. This is from Canto 2, Chapter 5. So the text one says, Shri Narada Muni asked Brahmaji, O chief amongst the demigods, O firstborn living entity, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Please tell me that transcendental knowledge which specifically directs one to the truth of the individual soul and the super soul. So that is the precursor of the entire conversation. So Narada Muni asking Brahmaji to kind of help him understand how does he understand this individual soul and how does he understand the super soul. And then so this is the last verse that Narada Muni speaks before Lord Brahma starts speaking in text 9. So the text 8 says, My dear father, you know everything, and you are the controller of all. Therefore, may all that I have inquired from you be kindly instructed to me, so that I may be able to understand it as your student. So So he kind of asks multiple questions. So starting from verse 1 to verse 8, so Narada Muni asks, how was it that the entire creation was created? What is its background? And who is actually the one who is controlling all of that? And then in between, he also says, all for me, all I can see is you. You're the one who is creating. You're the one who is kind of being there. So for me, you are the ultimate creator. And is it true? And one of the things that he also says is all whatever will be created in the future or whatever is being created in the past is within your grip. So he says, like, you're the one who's tightly controlling everything that was created in the past, whatever will be created in the future, or what is being created at present, everything is being controlled by you. So in one sense, Narada Muni is kind of is attributing the cause, as Lord Brahma was saying, Sarva Karana Karanam, as Lord Brahma is saying to Govinda, that, oh my Lord, you are the cause of all causes. Similarly, Narada Muni is here saying that, oh my dear father, Lord Brahma, you are the cause of all causes. And in one of the purports to this verses, Srila Prabhupada also says that from the position where Narada Muni is standing, what Narada Muni is saying is not wrong. Because as a student, all he knows, or as a son, or as a student, all he knows is Lord Brahma is creating, and that is all he knows. For example, as a kids, we might think that for every kid, their parents, when they were young, are kind of the superheroes where anything that they ask will just come in, and then they might be thinking that, oh, my father and mother can create everything that I ask. But Shri Prabhupada says that as a kid or as a student, now what Narada Muni is saying is, oh, you're the creator. But the answer to this doership mentality that we wanted to discuss is within these two verses that Lord Brahma says. So what Lord Brahma says is text 9. Lord Brahma said, My dear boy Narada, being merciful to all, and in bracket Prabhupada writes, including me, you have asked all these questions because have been inspired to see into the prowess of the Almighty Personality of Godhead. So the best thing is being merciful to all. And now, Lord Brahma is, when he is referring to all, is referring to himself also. So the fact that Narada Muni asked that question, Lord Brahma is considering that as a mercy of of Narada Muni on himself, that now that Narada Muni has asked this question of this entire creation is happening, and if I am in the controller, it gives me the actual position of be able to tell that I am not the person who is controlling everything. And the only reason that I will, the only reason that you have even asked me that questions is because, not because I am the creator, but the only reason that you have asked me these questions, based on what Lord Brahma is saying, is because I have been inspired to see into the prowess of the Almighty Personality of Godhead. To put it in a different way, only because Lord Brahma is saying, only because he is being inspired empowered by the Lord's energy, is even in this position of able to not only be able to create, but also be able to answer the questions of what Narada Muni is asking. And coming to the text 10, this is important. Whatever you have spoken about me is not false. Because unless and until one is aware of the personality of Godhead, who is ultimate truth beyond me, one is sure to be illusioned by observing my powerful activities. So this is the primary thing that I wanted to discuss when we talk about the doership mentality. So here Lord Brahma is not saying that he's not doing anything or neither of that. He's saying for so this is the verse where Prabhupada writes in the purport, saying that for a simple boy, for a student like Narad Muni, or for any other living entities, seeing this amazing creation, it might feel that Prakriti is everything. Because unless, as Lord Brahma is saying, unless and until one is aware of the personality of Godhead, who is ultimate truth beyond me, one is sure to be illusioned by observing my powerful activities. So we might be considering of this. So even in our case, when we think of this doership mentality, what Lord Brahma is giving us is these two verses are not only a kind of the beginning of the descriptions of the creation that Lord Brahma is going to take. This is part of my personal reading. So when I was reading this, the best thing that I could consider was to take this Lord Brahma at this point, and this is also inspired by a recent, I'm not sure how many of us do get um, these prayers and description that Chaitanya Charan Prabhu regularly sends, but I would highly encourage, if any of us are not subscribed to his mailing list, I would highly encourage to subscribe to that, because what he writes, we did go through one of his writings recently. What he writes is amazing and profound, and it's greatly helping me. And one of the things that he recently, I think, couple of weeks wrote was, how do I consider that I'm not the sole doer? But in praying, in his prayer, he also writes that, "Oh my Lord, I do not want to consider that I am the sole doer, because I'm factually not." Because one of the example that he gives is when I'm coughing, when I'm suffering with cough, I do not want to cough externally and kind of create this sound, but I cannot even control my body. So even in that aspect of the coughing, I'm not the entire doer. And at the same time, let me not go into the other extreme of considering that I don't have any responsibility of any action that I'm performing. Let me maintain this state of equilibrium, as Lord Brahma is pointing out, saying that um, he is not giving up his task of performing this complicated process of being this creation. Yes, sometimes even Lord Brahma have these instances like the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where he goes through this confusing time. But in a broader sense, in and at least here what Lord Brahma is presenting is in a much major point of time in scale, Lord Brahma maintains that equilibrium position where he understands that this is quite an important service, quite an important position that I'm provided. And he's also not blaming anybody else, because he's saying that, yeah, it is fully plausible that you could consider that I am this all powerful being, because you are not aware of this personality of Godhead. And my position here, sitting in this position, when you are asking me, is not to kind of um, disdain you or correct you or saying that, don't you even know that you are Narada? Don't you even know that? But my position here is to kind of help you aware, bring up this awareness of the personality of Godhead, so that you understand that I am just a insignificant or significant portion of the activity of the entire plan of what the Lord does. And even for us, in the doership mentality, neither are we the sole doers, and neither are we the no doers. So the balance is understanding that uh, it's again a bigger concept, but all I kind of wanted to touch upon was this simple thing of neither are we the sole doers nor are we the no doers. So there is this equilibrium, which is kind of inspired by what Lord Brahma is saying here. And the best thing is kind of what Lord Brahma is saying is, anytime anybody comes back and questions us or anything, it's a deep subject, as Lord Brahma is saying, kind of to consider that somebody questioning us of what we do, as being them merciful to us, so that we have this opportunity of remembering back that I'm not the person who is this great, amazing personality, but this is just an opportunity for me to create this awareness for me personally, and also in a broader sense of the glories of the personality of Godhead. So, so I just wanted to touch upon these two things: mercy of the Lord, as how just the fact that Garbhodakshaya Vishnu entering as Paramatma in every atom is just an example of the mercy of the Lord. And the other one is the doership mentality, which is neither are we the sole doers nor are we the no doers. But if there are any other point of discussions or corrections, we can. The floor is open. If not, we can end, and I hope all of us have an amazing day of remembrance. Hare Krishna. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो अनन्तकोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा।